Hello, Leo, and welcome to your November forecast. First and foremost, welcome everybody. It's good to see you. We're going to check in on Apollo, who's hanging out behind us, listening intently. We'll periodically go back and say hello to him, but first things first, let's set up what to expect in this forecast. We're going to start off with channeled messages in just a moment. And then when we get into the main portion, you can use everything that I say here for sun, rising, and moon, okay? Let's get into those channeled messages. I'm doing real-time channeling. I meditated right before this reading, and what I got was a beautiful image of morning glory. And this is a naturally occurring vine or wildflower that you'll find in nature. And there's a couple of really interesting characteristics with morning glory. The first is really why it gets its name, which is each day one of the flowers is going to open up, and it only lasts for that day. So this is a reminder to have an open heart and an open mind, and then whatever works, great, embrace it. Whatever you don't need, though, at the end of the day, just like that flower is going to shrivel up and go away, you're going to let it go. You're going to discard it so that you can open up again and have a reset. Every day is like the morning glory. You can open up and you can grow, and you don't have to hold on to the past. So that's beautiful. This is also something that very quickly can take hold and spread. It's a vine, so it can climb up a tree. It can even climb on a bush and sort of claim that space. So I love that it's rapid growth, and it's almost like Jack and the Beanstalk. If there's been a moment in your life where things haven't been sort of taking root or taking hold, I see something absolutely contrary to that this month, and it's actually very positive. So we see the ability to get grounded, we see growth, and we see that part of this is basically from the ability to approach every day and every situation, for that matter, as an opportunity, okay? The only thing to be mindful of with this is sometimes it's going to be important to cut back a little bit. So as with anything that grows, you sometimes have to trim it. So I want you to look at things in your life that might be getting unruly, whether it's budget or how many commitments you have, and make sure that you're not overextending yourself. That's the only sort of flip side to this. But otherwise, I quite like the energy and the imagery on that, and it actually inspired me to use a nature-based deck, so we'll be using Wildwood Tarot today. Let's see what's coming through, Leo, in the month ahead. Please take a moment to close your eyes, and let's welcome in angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters. I find that it often helps to imagine a beautifully clear sky and connect to the energy of the sun. And this brings you closer to your higher guidance and, of course, to source energy as well. All right, with the intention being set here to receive whatever you need to receive here, let's go ahead and begin, folks. All right, let's get started. We're going to begin with the Catalyst card. And in the Catalyst, we have Seek the Angel Perspective. I really read this as trying to find the silver lining, trying to elevate the view, And for those of you that might have been through a challenging moment in your life in this particular month, maybe it was a setback, a disappointment, or you're just simply frustrated with the progress or lack thereof. This card is coming through and saying, make sure that you're slowing down and looking around. What I have found invariably is when I sometimes have a setback or delay, it's usually so Spirit can align me to a better match. Now, that was harder to see when I was younger. It's easier the older that I get. I'm like, if it's meant to be, it'll be. That doesn't mean that I give up. It means that I continue to work hard and I wait for something that feels right. So sometimes it's a few years, sometimes it's a few days, but I don't rush it anymore. I'm like, that just didn't connect. That's okay. And that's one of the things that's coming through here. If we think of angelic cards in tarot, that would be things like the Temperance card, which is patience, which I just talked about. The Lover's card, which is reminding you to connect to unconditional love for yourself and for others, and also into that passion that makes you happy. And then Judgment, deciding what it is you want to do. With that final angel, the one that's in Judgment, it really asks you a question, are you in or are you out? And that's a nice segue to look at the actual spread that we have in front of us, because we have the Six of Swords here, which is transition and movement. And then we have the Fool, which is beautifully connected to Morning Glory, a new beginning. And if you can see something new, you're really being invited to move in that direction this month. We also have Ten of Wands, which is completion. So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's start off with the Six of Swords. I love this illustration. It is beautifully connected to the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition, where we see a person steering the ship. The only thing that's absent is sometimes you'll see a ghost in the background of some of the illustrations in Rider-Waite-Smith, or you see a passenger. And the absence of that in this particular illustration is showing me that this is a moment to not be looking to the past, but rather to the future. And also to be taking the wheel, to be taking that sort of direction and saying, I want to do this, and to move forward, okay? So the transitional element here is also showing that some of you might be in a liminal space between an end and a beginning. So maybe a job ended and you're trying to find a new one, or you're a couple weeks from starting and it's that uncomfortable zone of what do I do next, right? Or maybe you're a student and you just graduated and you're trying to figure out, what is there more school, or is there a job, or what's the next step? Retirees, you could be in that same zone where it's sort of like, what's the next chapter? I think one thing that you could do in this period of time, if you find yourself searching, is travel, actually, because this is absolutely connected to seeing the world, seeing what's out there, exploring, and also just making peace with the fact that in between times are sometimes messy and unknown, and it's okay. You may also find, like, let's say everything's cool in your life right now. You simply may be traveling or moving more than usual. You may find that the schedule is just constantly, you're on the go, and try to take some time to basically ground yourself, right? And to see the bigger picture, because this is the angelic perspective, getting away from the human experience and seeing what's the pattern, what's this trajectory? Does it feel right? Okay. So a little bit of soul searching, a little bit of exploration, and for many of you, transitioning from one thing to another. There could also be a person coming into your life. There could be an opportunity coming toward you, and there could be movement and change for the better, and it could take you by surprise. I almost kind of get that feeling of, trying to catch your breath. So this bodes pretty well. And I just saw a bird fly by as we did that. So there could also be something rapidly approaching you as well. It's really interesting that I was mentioning the Temperance Angel, because they chose a very unusual illustration for Temperance in this deck. They don't even call it Temperance. So I'm going to show you the traditional card. You'll see we have 14. It's the Temperance Angel. What the angel's doing is balancing things out. So they did choose to highlight balance. And what they're showing in this particular deck is some of you may be wound up tightly in a situation, in a relationship, in a thought process. And this could be taking you out of your balance a little bit. So I get that vibe as I'm looking at this. You may even find like you're sort of caught in between all of this. The main focus, since they highlighted the balance element, is to balance out emotions, to feel out an opportunity before committing. Same thing in a relationship, to make sure that both of you are like in the same heart space and that there's give and take. Slow and steady, super slow and steady with the Temperance card. What I do love about this is if you look right behind the angel, there's a rising sun, there's a path. Everything's going to be okay, but just don't rush. This also has a time marker for me, and surprisingly, it's going to take you into next year. Usually I connect this with April. So it may almost take like half a year for some things to come into fruition. But I do even a little bit longer than that as I'm doing the mental math. But we're seeing that there's some really cool things that are going to be opening up in the early part of next year. You're planting the seeds right now. So have faith, keep the vision, keep the work of investing and developing something, and you're going to see the fruits of that labor next year, okay? Sometimes these readings will go even beyond the month. It just depends on what's coming through. So I just have one more message here on this angel card, and that's basically it's really important to slow down. Intuition requires a little bit of presence of mind and concentration, and that's going to get you into the angel perspective that we talked about in the catalyst. So make sure that you're taking time for meditation and quiet time. It's going to be important. All right, back into the morning glory here. We have the Wanderer here, which is the Fool in this particular tarot card or tarot deck. And I love the rainbow on this. So just like I was saying, there's a reset every day. Sometimes on the heel of a setback or perceived failure, we come back stronger because we have wisdom, we have empathy, we've been through the school of hard knocks and kind of like learned by fire what works and what doesn't. So I see that rainbow as encouragement for those of you that are feeling a little bit forlorn and thinking, Nicholas, it's not happening. I would say ... It didn't happen today, but what about tomorrow? What about the next day? You're one step closer to success. The Wanderer here. What is the path? What is the purpose? Maybe some of you might be ambling a little bit because in the past that worked. Maybe now that's not going to work as well, and it's important to be more mindful and get out the map, basically, or the GPS and say, I'm not sure how I'm going to get there, but I know where I want to get. I know what I'm looking for. And then that starts to allow you to find the right path. But if there's no sort of clarity, the first step this month is to maybe explore the possibilities, maybe talk to someone, maybe seek out a guide or a mentor so that it's less wandering and it's more exploring or transitioning like we saw at the center. But just like the Temperance Angel, notice how the feet are moving in both of these cards. Temperance is kind of putting their foot in the water and testing it. The Wanderer is taking a step at a time. The Fool is taking one step at a time. The 0 on this card is not accidental. It is saying it's a clean slate. It's a new beginning. We can't carry with us each and every day this feeling of, frustration or dread or angst or whatever it might be. There has to be just simply neutrality at the very least, but maybe some optimism or hope. That's going to give you the wind in the sails of the 6 of Swords or 6 of Arrows, and then the ability to take the first step. In your recent past, you have the 5 of Cups. The card is reversed. There's a really interesting word on this one, ecstasy. And this card can represent an extreme. And the normal illustration shows loss or release, sometimes even mourning energy. That's what this represents. But right there in the corner, we see 2 cups upright. There could be something worth celebrating, and I really love how this one is saying it just depends where you point that star or point that arrow. So if we can get more into celebrating what's still available, celebrating the fact that you got through it, that you still have something worth fighting for, worth kind of engaging in, that's where the power comes. But first things first, before you can get to that celebratory card, you have to go through this. And so there are 2 sides to every story and to every coin, and it does feel like you're on the other side right now, but sometimes there could even be disbelief. Am I going to be able to continue? I'm an optimist, and I like to think about you don't have to repeat history, right? It's like graduating. Once you've graduated, you don't have to take that class again. Just remember the lesson and integrate it, but then keep looking around because there is a silver lining. And that's why the angel perspective came through. We have to look at both sides. And this particular deck chose to put a more optimistic spin on it, so let's embrace it, folks, okay? Now, it is in reverse, so for some of you, you may have swept something under the rug. Maybe you didn't give yourself enough time to just sort of get through something really important. And when I say that, I mean process the emotions. So if you lost someone in your life, if you just recently lost a job, if, again, there was just an unexpected rejection or setback, you know that I always think that rejection is a form of cosmic protection. That means that the universe saw something and said, it's not a match, it's not good enough. Or you might not be ready at this moment to excel in the way that you should. So be patient with yourself and trust in the process. Trust that there are other things, and there are. Again, if we look at the traditional card, there are other things that are opening up to you. You just have to look around. We have a really powerful card here coming through in the crowning position. It's the Seer, otherwise known as the High Priestess. So in this particular illustration, we're shown the importance of seeing it and believing it within, because if you're trying to manifest, it's sort of like it's a reality check from the universe. If you don't believe in yourself, or if you don't believe in the possibility of something, it's hard for others to believe in you. So this is really working on self-confidence, and also to that end, trusting in your instincts and your intuition. So if you feel aligned with something, that's all you really need. That's the green light. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Now, this is also encouraging you to slow down and tune in, which is a common theme this month. There are so many different ways, by the way. I know that not everybody really relates to just closing your eyes and going, Om. So let me give you some other ways that you can connect to spirit. If you're a musician, composition is great. Sitting there and composing at the piano or the guitar, you're actually channeling energy from spirit, and you'll be thinking of other things. If you're a songwriter, all that poetry that you're writing is connecting to source. If you're a writer, the same thing. You can just journal in a book and see what comes to mind, free writing, and just see, like, how do I feel about this? What's going on? It doesn't have to be really structured. It's just you connecting. Of course, tarot and different forms of divination can help you connect. And other things, just like I enjoy hiking or getting out into nature and just spending some time outside and like listening to the sounds of the ocean or the wind as it goes through the trees. All of this stuff makes me feel better even as I'm talking about it, right? So connect with something that calms you and allows you to stop focusing on the thoughts. That's the first step to meditation. Or even just redirecting thoughts. So you can also work on something like woodworking or ceramics or anything like that. Because as you're starting to do something else, your third eye opens up and you start to pick up on things, all right? So try that form of meditation this month, not just Om. There's a time and a place for that, but there's also a time and a place for some of the creative stuff that we just talked about. By the way, this month, when it comes to anything that you're working on, you could have a light bulb moment or an epiphany, so go with that when it comes through. We have the Four of Wands, which is a really favorable card for relationships. It came through reverse, but let's look at it in the upright position. Celebration. So one of the things that Spirit is really encouraging you to do is to RSVP yes to an invitation or to an engagement of some sort. You could meet someone, and you're not looking necessarily for that connection, but it may come nonetheless. Check your junk folder on your email and things like that. There could also be someone reaching out, and I'm seeing like ships in the night because we have that ship heading towards you, but you're not looking in that direction. That connects with this. So there's someone there, or there's something right by you, but you're not looking. So one of the things that I'd like you to do is to amp up the social activities a little bit and also look around for different opportunities or connections. A friendship could go deeper this month. A love interest could get more serious. And this is a month where you should really be focusing on creating, building, and making that foundational energy in anything that you care about, particularly a project. There's power in numbers and there's power in teamwork this month. I love all the passion. I love all the fun here. It doesn't have to just be romantic. This can be bestie energy. So spending time with someone that you really, really just enjoy being with. It could be a friend. It could be a family member. It could be a pet. It doesn't matter. Just a little bit of time with someone else. That's going to also take some of the pressure off and help you recalibrate. And when you're in that flow of fun, that also connects you to the seer or the high priestess. Let's see how you're showing up this month. We have the Page of Pentacles. I'll take it. That's a really good card, and it's a lynx on top of all of that. Lynx, basically a cat, it moves pretty quickly, and it also has the ability to land on its feet. So I like the feline tendencies with this. Trust your instincts again, and really focus on communicating what it is you want. So whereas a Page of Swords might speak it into existence, the Page of Pentacles may create a plan or a pitch or a proposal and then communicate it. But there's going to be something grounded in possibilities here and in something tangible. By the way, if you have a meeting, show up, do the homework. Come with an outline or a plan. It doesn't have to be like pages long. Just be prepared. They'll be impressed that you did your work. Come with some questions, come with some thoughts, and this is going to speed things up. So the frustration that you might have felt over things taking longer than you wanted to, if you're just patient and if you're diligent, I feel like you could have this pivotal breakthrough and you could experience the speed of the links this month if you want to, okay? Slow and steady, follow your instincts, and I just get the feeling that you're going to land on your feet because of the illustration, so that's good. And you're tapped into the potential of new resources, new opportunity, possibly even money. These are good things. Let's go ahead and see what's in your environment. You're finishing something, many of you. So we have 10 of Wands. I usually see it as completion. We also see the responsibility message on this one. And I think what this is really saying is you owe it to just finish what you've started. You're so close to the finish line. We can see the top of the mountain here. They did a great job of carrying the traditional energy of feeling burdened, which is a part of the 10 of Wands in Rider-Waite-Smith. The person's hunched over, they're feeling pressure, they're feeling responsibility. But if they take a moment to see how far they've come, which we talked about with this, getting above things. So we see this bigger than life person and we see the angel here. You've got to see it from a different angle. So just like if you've hiked up a mountain, you should take a moment to enjoy the view. Wherever you're at right now in your life, take a moment to see how far you've come, see what's around you, and then again, set the GPS or the trajectory and where you want to go next. Let's take a look here at hopes, fears, and opportunities. We have the 5 of Pentacles, and I really like this. I'm going to contrast it with the original one in just a second. It was reversed, but let's read it upright first. We have endurance here, and we have someone gently and timidly kind of stoking the fire and saying, I think I can do it. I think I'm ready. And I'll take the I think I can, because that's going to get you to I can, I will, I am. But we have to start gently this month. A little bit of recovery, a little recalibration. Some of you just came through a tower moment because we can see the lightning in the background, and you're just starting to reconnect with your power. Here's your traditional 5 of Pentacles, and it's such a stark contrast because here we see a snowy scene. We see 2 people that really can't help each other, but there is support. There are resources available. This person's overcome that. They're starting to tap into the resources. And so rather than feeling like they're on the outside looking in, they're finally under the shelter and they're saying, I think I'm going to be okay. And I know you're going to be okay. This also represents healing wounds from the past. Oftentimes with siblings or parents or teachers, something that just kind of impacted your self-confidence. It can also be something that happens as an adult because we still experience things that make us feel less than. So this month, if you can just shift the focus to equal to or greater than, then you're going to start to see what's possible. The seer is blocked because of fear. She's looking in the wrong direction, or she hasn't properly sort of processed whatever this emotion is. So we have a couple of interesting 5s this month. This one is changing perspectives and mourning what could have been, but not forgetting what is. And this one is kind of like letting the past be in the past and realizing that you are stronger now. You're more you're more capable, really, of handling something. So you have to be able to see that potential, though. Nobody can do that except for you. And that is why we end on one of the wisest and strongest cards here, the Hooded Man, aka the Hermit. The Hermit always holds the lantern. The lantern is the star. The star is going to help you get through things. So know this, you're very much ready for the next big thing, but I feel that sense of wanting to keep it under wraps and kind of like you don't want to jinx yourself. But you don't have to worry about that because you're blessed, because we see that you have the wisdom and all you have to do is shine a light on it and say, I'm ready, okay? By the way, this card also encourages things like education, anything that you want to do for personal development, and it's a really good time to research all of the options out there that are available to you, rather. So research and development, internal development and growth, and anything associated with learning. All right. let's expand the forecast. We're going to go into health, wealth, love, and destiny. We'll start off first with health, which is your mind, your body, and your spirit. And we have the rhinoceros coming through on this one. It is reversed, so let's talk about it. This particular deck gives you 3 things to focus on. So when it's reversed, the struggle is connecting with that, so I'm going to try to get you past the struggle. So don't force it. Don't force the connection. Don't force yourself to do something if it doesn't align to what your vision is. That's pretty easy. Stronghold. I really believe that this is the sort of foundational energy that we see here in the Four of Wands. And it's also the sort of protective energy that we see here in the Hooded Man. You don't need to hide. That's what I'm actually getting from this. A stronghold is something that we go to protect ourselves, right? And part of the nudge from the universe is to show your true colors, to be a little bit more vulnerable, to come out of your shell. And that's why we have barriers here, letting go of the barriers. Now, this is a strong symbol. When I look at the rhinoceros, you don't want to mess with that, right? But you don't need to. It reminds me of the old Sting or Police song where it's like fortress around my heart, right? Sometimes we need to let go of that fortress a little bit so you can feel again, so you can see again, so others can see you. And that's really what I'm getting with this rhinoceros card reverse. Letting go of some of these protective barriers and allowing yourself to explore, to expand, and to see what's out there. So let's look at some general messages surrounding the energy of health. Again, if there's anything going on in your body, obviously work with a professional. I'm gonna look at where energy may be stuck or where openings may be. So we're gonna focus first on the Five of Pentacles. Again, connecting with the traditional card because I think it tells a better story. For some of you, there could actually be an old injury that flares up, especially if the weather's changing. There's also an encouragement to take your time and not rush, particularly if there is inclement weather. Put the phone in your pocket, put the watch on Do Not Disturb, and focus on where you're walking. And of course, as I mentioned, just general healing may be something that you're focusing on, particularly with old wounds from the past. One last thing, we are in cold and flu season. This can simply be a cold. Of all the potential sickness cards, we can usually get past the Five of Pentacles, but let's try to avoid it if we can. So get enough sleep, get enough rest, watch where you're going. Pretty manageable overall. Other things, there's benefits here with just very gentle exercise. So we have this, which is basically taking a walk. And we had Temperance, which came through, which says easy does it. So anything that you're going to do, make sure that it is part of a balanced sort of routine and you're not trying to go overboard overnight, right? I also see that some of you may be fatigued from travel, whether it's fun, work, or otherwise. Really slow down a little bit. That can also be leading to the Five of Pentacles. I think it's important when we look at mental health not to overlook the Five of Cups here. And this really is getting support if you need to grieve or deal with something. It's often something that is best accompanied by a friend or a professional. And that's why there's 2 cups behind the person here. So leaning on the support of others is really important in this period of time. Let's see what else is coming through. Oh, for those of you that might be building something, or for those of you that also actually carry things for work, like construction, be mindful of your how you're carrying things and not to overdo it. Everybody else, this is just the stress you put on yourself. It doesn't have to be a physical burden. It can be an emotional one. So making sure that you are pushing back and that you aren't taking on more responsibility or more pressure than you need to. Because sometimes there can be a little bit of a perfectionist vibe with this card, and it's about letting go and delegating as appropriate or whenever possible. Let me see if there's anything else that we need to focus on. I think we hit on most of the high points here. And again, just focusing on not forcing yourself, not pushing yourself too much, and letting go of some of the barriers or the walls that you might have built up. So there's definitely like an emotional component to that. Let's move on. We have the Ankh coming through here for the energy of wealth, which is really auspicious. The Ankh, of course, representing power. This Ankh is very connected to magician energy because we see all the elements represented here. And this is also a resilient symbol. So in Egyptian mythology, you'll see a lot of the supernatural deities connecting with that Ankh figure because it is it's eternal life, it's power, and this is your chance to basically connect with Empress and High Priestess energy. So being the boss, but also allowing yourself to really own the power of creation as well. Okay, so this is great. You have the power, you have the potential. I would say it's high priestess, it's empress, it's judgment. It's the ability to rise up from any challenge because you have what it takes. Let's now break it down into 3 major categories. We're going to look at those of you that have a job, including entrepreneurs. We'll look at job seekers. Then we'll move on to those of you that are retired. We're going to start off first with those that have a traditional 9-to-5 job. Let's see what's coming through here. So I mentioned earlier that you may be traveling a lot for work. Pace yourself, because literally we have the slow and steady card here of temperance right on top of that. Don't overdo it. And make sure that you're getting compensation for that extra travel, because it does take it creates a little bit of wear and tear on your body. Also, when it comes to those of you that have a regular job, you may be doing the work of multiple people, 2 or 3 people. Make sure that you are getting enough for that, because when we're looking at compensation, this is inadequate for the amount of pressure or stress that you're carrying personally here. Advocate. So pages are good at communicating. Communicate your worth and ask for more if you need it. Or say, I can't do all of this if this is all that's going to come through. You'll find a better way to do it, but I'm just kind of getting to the point here. Advocate for worth, be prepared to show what you've been producing, and then put it in the hands of someone else. Fast forwarding to if that's going to make a difference. Yes, but here's how. This is more powerful also when it comes from others. So you could work with others to kind of communicate your value and worth. There might also be good word of mouth that's already happening. And we do have a good card here at the end. This shows wisdom. The problem or the challenge with a hermit card is sometimes you do things so well that people don't realize that it took this much effort to make it happen. So it's about bubbling that up and saying, hey, I know that I don't articulate this or I don't complain often, but this it's time. I really need some help. I'd like to focus on this, but I can't keep doing this. This isn't sustainable. You have the support and you have the goodwill to make it happen if you want it. That's what I see in the spread here. For everybody that is cool with their jobs, here's some other things that I'm kind of picking up on. It feels like creatively it's a little frustrating right now. And again, I think it's important to articulate if you want more creative control or just more control in general, if you want to step up to a management role. It almost feels like many of you just want a little bit more responsibility or a better title, but the hooded one or the hermit isn't a manager that really wants a lot of people around them or doesn't want to be seen. So there are different options in different companies where you can be in more of an authority figure or leadership role without having to have a lot of people reporting to you. Or you just want to be at the most senior level of your particular job description without having to have that extra responsibility or visibility. Speak to what it is you're looking for. There may even be a chance to create something that doesn't exist, okay? Ultimately, you're bringing a lot to the plate. So I just want to see more support, not just in friends and coworkers, but we also want to see it where it counts here. You're worth it. So advocate for more. It's time to have a discussion about money or advancement. And overall, it's pretty good. This card here is also about allowing yourself to feel challenged and trying something new. So maybe it's outside of work too that you need that sense of exploration, but find something where you're still growing and still exploring. Okay, if you're an entrepreneur, here's what I see. You're doing a great job, actually. Something's really close to completion. I feel like one of the biggest challenges for you is that you might be undercutting your profits. So it feels like in order to make a splash, you might be selling things cheaper. You can do it for a little bit, but not much longer. This is like barely break even. And I think it's time to start to make sure that things go into a regular price point. What you want to do instead, and I've been seeing this for a couple of signs, interestingly enough, is to communicate value. So you could think of brands that are out there. There are some that you go to because they're inexpensive. There are some that you go to because they're quality. There are other ones that just have it's almost like a status attached to it. I think you're somewhere between that quality and status, like showing that it's worth it. And that's even like some of the marketing techniques that people will put out there. You deserve this or something like that. So wrapping your head around showing that there is value in your product and you don't have to do a deep discount. Okay? One of the things you can also solicit if you have a lot of happy customers is good reviews. So say, hey, if you don't mind, no pressure, but it'd be great if you leave a Google review or something like that, okay? And going more global or opening up a bit, because the Six of Swords is definitely about reaching beyond your shore. So this could be even just like a second location or a second geographical area. I see that you're starting to broaden your reach a bit. And we talked about morning glory. There's a chance to step by step, day by day, start to kind of put the fingers out there and reach further. And that's really cool. Be more creative in your marketing and be more creative in your approach. All right, moving on to job seekers. What we just talked about, it may be that you're looking for a job where it's in a different country on purpose, or different state, city, country, province, etc. You may also want to travel for work, and so you're purposely looking for a job where travel is a part of it and you don't have to pay for it. They're actually paying you to go there. Otherwise, we're seeing you move up, because going from the Fool to the Six of Swords shows transition. We see the Seer and the Page of Pentacles as something that you've been trying to accomplish. So I do see a breakthrough for you. Again, looking beyond where you're at, it's probably going to involve going out of your postal or zip code. And I do see 2 travel cards here, so there may be a couple of visits or face-to-face interviews that you have to make this happen. What I like is you're valuable and you're seen as a valuable resource. What I don't like is it feels like an offer comes in under what you expect or need. So you want to maybe show training, experience, wisdom, or education, and you need to at least get that to like the 6 or 7 of Pentacles. It's too low. And you can do it. I really do feel like you can do it this month. When is it going to happen? We have 4 here. It could take up to a month. But I do feel like you're headed in the right direction. I see some disappointment in things not necessarily working out. My take on this is let it be. Let it be, because there's something better. Rejection is protection. And this is about seeing other opportunities rather than fixating on the one rejection here. Okay? And for those of you that are students, here's what I'm picking up on. Some of you may be looking at doing an internship or a study abroad semester. Absolutely. There's a lot to be gained by that. I also think some of you may be running yourself to the point of exhaustion, fatigue, or sickness. Be careful of that. Also, be mindful of trying to find maybe a financial discount or what's the word here? A scholarship when it comes to studying abroad, because I do see, again, this can be spreading yourself too thin resource-wise. And just when it comes to how many things that are on your plate, academically, I feel like you're okay. This may be extracurricular. I'm all for having some student life energy here with the 4 of Wands, but 10 of Wands can show just too many things, too many directions. So let's kind of like pull it in a little bit, rein it in, less is more. And remembering that it's really important to have time to just, it feels like you need a quiet place to study or to be a little bit. And meditation, gosh, it wasn't even talked about when I was in school. I think it's so important to just general mental health. And we talked about all the different ways that you can meditate, including music, including creative endeavors. So please consider that. Let me see if there's anything else. No, otherwise I think it's good. Let's look at those that are retired. It feels like you want to explore. You have 3 cards of travel. This is just traveling by foot. This is traveling by vehicle. And this is also just moving on from one thing to another, but it might be going back and forth between a couple of places. So travel, but on a dime, on a budget. And so you're planning way in advance. That's what this card is really about. Not sort of like extinguishing your sort of savings and doing it slowly, gently, planning maybe 2 or 3 months in advance. I also see like a desire to explore something different. This is like learning, training, getting a mentor or being a mentor, and this is developing yourself. It can be intuitively or just creatively. Let's move to love now, and we have a card of the inward journey. So normally if it were upright, I would say maybe you're going on a trip together. But when I'm looking at this reversed, I think it's really connecting with this, which is the journey within. To me, this really shows that some of you are at a new level of maturity, because it's so important to know who you are. Whether you're looking for love or you're in the middle of a deep relationship, when you lose yourself or when you don't know what it is that moves you, inspires you, or even triggers you, then it becomes a little bit kind of like discombobulating is the best word that I can think of. So take some time to get to know you. That's the most important relationship. I'll read all of the different, sort of like configurations, but you really need to focus on you, loving and accepting yourself, supporting yourself, knowing yourself. I talked about this on the last weekend collective, but I'm going to repeat it here. Love yourself where you're at. Yes, it's good to have goals. Yes, it's okay to be frustrated with overall progress, but look at how far you came. Look at the fact that you're here today. The fact that you're tuning into this so that you can get a clearer vision of what's next. Celebrate that. Now let's break it down. We're going to look at 3 major categories: those in a relationship, those that are looking for love, and then those that are happily single. Starting off with those that are in a traditional relationship. I'm especially drawn to the 6 of Swords at the center because this can represent someone who is distant, even if they're in the same room. They could be preoccupied, lost in thought. You could also be the 6 of Swords where your mind is somewhere else. So the biggest challenge and opportunity right off the bat is how to be more present in the relationship and to bridge the gap. There could also be some of you that are already in a long distance relationship. You love someone, they're in another city, state, country, or province, and you're trying to make peace with the time zones or trying to figure out. It feels like this is temporary because we have this occasion or this eventual card showing like moving in or settling this sort of travel energy. But until that's happened, it's about how to negotiate the distance. So it's either figurative or it's literal. And crossing that card again was balance, which is temperance. So it's give and take. We need to make sure that there's give and take from both perspectives. The other thing here for some of you is just some healing that's going on. So again, recent past could show that there's something that you might have lost a loved one. There could be even some economical challenges that you've both been through. And it's how can you show up for each other and support each other to really make this happen and make this work in this moment. What I like here is it feels like there is an ease and a flexibility in the deep past with the Fool. And this is where you're going to be able to make it work. It's just one step at a time. You don't have to solve something overnight. Meeting in the middle, maybe even just doing something like after work, taking a walk together, doing something where it's easy and it's disconnected from all of the other sort of distractions that maybe is creating some of that distance. This is where the strength is going to come. Let's look at some other stuff that's coming through. I love this. Whatever challenges you might be going through, the near future is more than a glimmer of hope. It's a beam of hope. So we have the 4 of Wands, celebration, friendship, foundational energy. It shows me that there's something beyond just passion, and it feels like you guys are trying to build something. So getting back into that, I've got your back, you've got my back. We're imperfect, but we're imperfect together, and we're gonna figure this out. I feel like that's the key to success. Seeing each other as friends, and as friends that are walking the path together. And so, again, bridging the gap so that you can be in the same place at the same time and feel that support, that's the most important thing. You're bringing a lot to the equation right now. I feel like the partner is dealing with a lot as well. And so not negating, one another's gifts or one another's challenges. There is something from the past karmically that is playing out right now, and it doesn't have anything to do with the current situation. So look back at your experience with your parents, brothers, sisters, teachers, and look at theirs and see if there isn't an echo of that you can overcome. What I do like at the end of the day is we have a card of wisdom in the outcome. The only thing is it's a distant card. So I would love to see a King or Queen of Swords here because this is distant, this is carrying a heavy load, and this isn't communicating. So the core challenge is just communicating and being present. Once you do that, it feels like it gets easy again, okay? Overall, things are fine. There's nothing here that's overly problematic. I'm just seeing a little bit of a breakdown in communication, okay? And maybe just empathizing and seeing it from one another's perspectives. Sorry, it's not focusing, because this is what this is really about, is just getting that bird's eye view, okay? Let's move on to those that are seeking love. Can you find it? Yes, but the person may be unavailable. You may be unavailable. So we see 2 people here, 6 of Swords and 10 of Wands, that are just carrying a lot of responsibility. We also see that You may be connected to someone that is shy. Just like I was talking about with those that are in a relationship, there may also be someone that is nursing the wounds of a past relationship. And these 2 5s are telling the story here. 5 of Pentacles, feeling hurt. 5 of Cups, wishing that things could have been different. It has nothing to do with you, but they need to kind of like work through their trauma or drama a little bit more. Likewise with you, there may be a little bit of healing that needs to be done first. There's someone that's interested. It's just a matter of looking in the right direction. The seer is here. Someone's got their eye on you. We also have the angelic temperance card. So there's somebody that's waiting for you to be ready. And maybe both of you are just waiting to be at that point of being healed. I would really say this month, don't rush into anything. We have an earth sign that's coming through here with the Page of Pentacles. And so if you're looking for love, that's what I see. Someone that is grounded, but may want to move a little faster than you. That's why we have a lynx on this card. So take care of yourself, focus on healing, and take it one step at a time. That's really what this is all about, okay? Let's go ahead now and take a look at those of you that are currently single and happy. And I feel like it's the perfect place to be for many of you because we have a card associated with that. The Hermit is exactly happy with where they're at. They want to focus on working on themselves, learning something new, healing all of the wounds from the past like we were talking about. And this could also be deciding to take a trip on your own or with a close friend because we have travel, travel, travel. So I think this is a perfect time to do that. Be mindful of not extending your energy or your resources, including your money. But that being said, maybe that's why you might split the cost with a friend. This would be a great time for something like travel or learning. If you want to take a project to the next level, you can do that as well. I think the important thing here, though, to focus on is slowing down a little bit because these are moving a lot, and this is really asking you to stand still and be present. So I think that's the big takeaway here is it's okay to simply be where you're at. You don't have to go in a bunch of different directions. This is a good time for a staycation, if you will. Let's go ahead now and move on to the Destiny card. I love this one. This is helping you connect. It is nature. So I mentioned a form of meditation is simply getting out into nature, taking a hike, eating lunch under a tree and just sort of like, tuning out all of the nonsense, putting the phone in the pocket and not answering when the phone rings, just really allowing yourself to finish what you've started, to tune in and to do something different. Also, it might be time for those of you that are looking for a new place to live or just a new activity to do something that's closer to nature, to the water, to the trees, to something that is disconnected from city life. And that's what I'm getting there. Also, I'm just looking at the root of the word, and it feels like things should be natural. It should feel good. It should feel natural. You shouldn't have to force it because that kind of goes back into the message from health. Things need to have a sense of ease and a sense of just fluidity, which they may not have right now. Okay, let's move on. We're going to go a little bit deeper into sun, rising, and moon sign messages, and let's see what Spirit has to say. Sun, rising, and moon. All right, let's begin with sun sign first. We have the Page of Wands coming through here. I love that there's actually some movement behind an idea. And the Page of Wands here is also showing the ability to overcome something. I'm looking at how this animal is kind of like walking across a bridge here. So I think that you can take something to the next level, a creative idea, an opportunity, and the Page of Wands is also communicating their thoughts with others. So especially for those of you that may be in a working situation or even at school, share your insights. This is wisdom. This is speaking up and sharing an idea. It took me a while before I was comfortable doing that in a working situation, but I found that once I did, and once I did it without sort of like self-deprecation, just saying, hey, I have a thought on this too. Have you thought about this? And just putting it out on the table with that kind of energy, people would say, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, let's explore it. Just see what's possible. This also extends to relationships, whether it's family or a loved one, partner, for instance. You could just say, hey, have you thought about maybe we should try this? Just come forward with thoughts and ideas and allow the other person to receive it. Know that you are bringing something worth considering, okay? Lean into your power. As we look at rising, if you need something, ask. We have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. It's a foundational card, as you can see here, even with that second caption, the foundation of life. But some of you may be the support beam for everybody else, because that's kind of what this looks like, or the grounding stone for everybody. So if something's lacking, or if someone's not showing up in the way that you need them, you raise your hand and you say, hey, I could really use some help here, or can I count on you? Or this is missing. What are we going to do about it? How about this? Come forward with thoughts, with ideas, be communicative. You may also simply decide to invest in yourself. And this can be like, again, deciding to go to school, deciding to splurge a little bit and treat yourself, spa day or whatever. But it's saying, I've worked hard for this and I deserve a little something too. Self-worth. And I encourage this, by the way, because this card may have struggled in the past with self-worth. We see the person starting to rekindle, but it takes some time. So love yourself where you're at. Take care of yourself. Maybe it also could be a retreat or something like that. Whatever it is, I encourage it. Find your grounding in this moment, though. So if you're constantly on the go, you need something that feels stable and predictable. Okay? Now let's move on to the moon sign. We have the 9 of arrows here, 9 of swords, basically. This is one of the most beautiful and positive 9 of swords. Normally the person's in the bedroom with all the swords above their head. What she's doing here is collecting the swords. She's collecting her thoughts. She's saying, okay, that could have gone better, but look, I'm still here. That freaked me out the other day, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. I underestimated this and it was more than that, but it's okay, I learned. She's kind of seeing how everything had a purpose. She's gathering each and every one of those arrows again so that she can be strong and be ready for the next day. Morning glory. Every day is a reset. We're not going to let the aggregate of all of these different experiences weigh on us. We're learning from them. And so there's dedication and there's strength in this particular approach. Such a great way to take apart stress in our life, right? So if you can see the lesson, if you can see the blessing, then it no longer feels like it's so heavy. And suddenly you have this sense of empowerment or possibility. And that's really exciting. Do take care of yourself, though. Oftentimes this card comes through when you are lacking sleep, rest, diet, exercise. And what happens then is right about the time you want to go to sleep, all of these things start to kind of like sprint into your mind. So make sure that you're getting quality and quantity of sleep, that you're doing things for stress management. And if there's anything that feels off a little bit, that you work with the doctor, obviously, on that. All right, let's move on to one final question and card here. This can be anything that I haven't covered yet, but you still want to know about. And I'm going to give the cards a shuffle and we'll see what's coming through. All right, we have a really beautiful 7 of Cups here. So as a yes or no, this is, you need more clarity. It's yes, but really get to understand what the other person is trying to communicate or what you want. This is a cloudy card typically. And interestingly enough on this one, it's circling back to the morning energy that we had here with, I'm going to pull it up here so we can see it, with the 5 of Cups. So once this is done, then you're going to be able to see what's available to you. So you have to process what is past to see what is present. And here's the cool thing with this. Give yourself a chance to explore all of the options, because this ultimately is a card of consideration. And when I say consideration, I mean like exploring what's available. Just to kind of help clarify that, here's your traditional 7 of Cups. So it can be a card of being inquisitive, but sometimes it can be overwhelmed by the possibilities. So the other thing that I would say here is if there's a question you need to ask. If there's something that's vague or unclear, get the clarity that you need. And when it comes to exploring options, don't overwhelm yourself. 2 or 3 is enough. This person is trying to bite off more than they can chew. So hopefully that helps you get the clarity that you need for that question. Ultimately, I feel like you have a great month ahead of you, particularly with a power card here and here. And this card as well, I just wanted to highlight it one more time before we wrap up. In this moment in time, you may really connect with someone that sees you, that understands you, because this is a card of insight. This is a card, literally, we have it called the seer here, where two people are bringing a lot to the equation. The challenge with this person's a little shy and they're very inward focused. Same thing here, this person's looking inward. So there could be a chance to meet someone, but you're going to have to do a little bit of work to make the connection happen. Don't be afraid to be outspoken, to take the first step, okay? I hope that helps. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your month and your reading. If you like this, why don't you subscribe? It's free and it's going to help you know when future videos come through. For everybody that's been a long-time subscriber, remember to hit the like. And if you've never opted into notifications, hit the bell and choose all. That way you'll get all notifications for future videos. A nice fail-safe way to make sure that you also get notified when there's a new video is to follow me across social media. So on all of these platforms, it's my name, Nicholas Ashbaugh. If you ever need to get a link, you can go to my website or the main YouTube channel page, and all the links are there. Remember, I don't offer private readings. If anyone tries to direct message you, block and report and let me know. The best way to connect is right here on YouTube. And if you want to give back, you can do it by becoming a member, which is great. You can set it and forget it. And you can change it at any time. You can give a super sticker or super chat. And of course, you can just leave a comment below too. Thank you so much for being the absolute best part of what I do here on YouTube. I wouldn't be here without your love and support. It's a pleasure, it's an honor, it's a privilege to be here for you as well. Take care, and thank you so much.